Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Intuitive Insights. Today, my guest is Erin Kibbee, and we are going to be talking about the light body. I am so excited. This is one of my favorite subjects. Hi, Erin. Thank you for joining me today.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Good, thanks.
So tell me, how did you get into this avenue of spirituality? How did that unfold for you?
So I guess it's actually been unfolding since I was really little. I didn't really understand that I had gifts. And then it's kind of just developed more rapidly over the past year and really turned into like a whole spiritual awakening for me.
Mm-hmm. So did it develop for you as a clairvoyant or clairaudience? What's your gift?
So as of now, I'm able to pretty much tap into any gift.
Okay. Oh, wow.
It did start out as clairvoyance and clairaudience when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
I would like see spirits and things and didn't really quite understand. I came from a really religious household, so I did understand that there was a spiritual world and things like that. But as I got older, it started to scare me more. I didn't really understand. And I was seeing like shadow beings and things like that. And I would also hear things. So after a while, I started to think, gosh, maybe this isn't normal. I got kind of like confused and I got really bad anxiety from it. And it really turned into quite an ordeal. I was in and out of psychiatric hospitals because I thought something was wrong with me because I just didn't understand my gifts very well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I hear that a lot. It is a very confusing time. Whether you check yourself into a hospital or not, you really do feel crazy because nobody else is having this experience, and so if nobody else is having it, there's nobody there to explain to you this awesome thing that's happening to your body.
Exactly. And I didn't understand it was gifts, so by me being scared, it just caused more problems, and then I didn't understand myself, and I would try to explain to people and nobody would understand, so I felt even more isolated. It was a rough time for sure, so I'm glad I'm beyond that now.
Yeah, so am I. It's just a joy to be able to do this and let other people know that there is nothing wrong with you, and it's okay to be different. Your differences are needed in the world at this time, and I just so appreciate you. I really do.
Oh, thank you.
So tell us about the light body. The audience wants to know what that is. And how did you get on that subject?
So honestly, I've just been following my intuitive guidance. I hadn't even heard any of these words before. I don't really research the stuff. I kind of just let it flow in because I feel like when I try to understand from things that I read, I really struggle. My brain's like, wait, what? Trying to make sense of things. So I kind of just wait for it to come to me in a way that I can understand. It's just like cutting out the middleman, so I'm not trying to interpret things.
Oh, definitely. How does it come to you? You get dreams? Do you hear it? Or how does that happen for you?
So typically, it's like when I'm falling asleep for bed, I'll be leaning over typing on my phone because I get all these visions and they'll explain to me in words, but also show me with pictures and sensations and things like that. So it's like I get the full experience and then they're explaining exactly what's happening. So then I can kind of put it into words, describe what's happening, and then it really helps me to integrate it into my physical self as well because I understand and I'm not afraid.
Yeah, they have a way of really, because they're so fine-tuned to who we are and what we've been through. They have unique explanations for each and every one of us because I love the way my guides simplify things. Like, you're overthinking that. This is really a lot easier if I explain it to you like this, That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Totally. And I like how I typically have a pretty good sense of humor. So they like to add like humor to things.
Yeah.
It just totally helps. I'm like, oh, good. It's still lighthearted and fun.
Oh, yeah. I think in the beginning, we put so much seriousness on it because you think, oh my God, this divine thing is happening, and oh my goodness gracious, you're supposed to take it so seriously. No, you're supposed to laugh about it and play with the energy. You don't need to take it seriously. Not at all.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes I forget that and I feel like I have a huge weight on my shoulders and all these responsibilities. And like, no, remember, it's okay. Like, it's okay to be lighthearted about these things.
Yeah, please don't put all that on yourself. we never get more than we can handle. It's just that our logical mind tries to make sense of things. But yeah, just take it one step at a time and you're doing great.
Absolutely. So as far as what the light body is, this is my understanding and how they've explained it to me. Mm-hmm. So we have our physical body, and then we have our astral body, and then a layer beyond that is our light body. Mm-hmm. So I do light body activation. So basically our physical self is interacting in the third dimension, mm-hmm. the third dimensional world. And our astral body, from what I understand, there's some dimensions in between. And then when it gets less dense, there's more dimensions beyond that. And that's where our light body is most active. So to just like sum it up, and then I'll explain a little bit more in detail, light body activations activate the outermost layer, and then it filters through into the physical level.
Mm-hmm. It's wonderful, wonderful, simplified explanation. So how are you practicing now? What are you doing as far as like a business when you activate people?
So I made what I've called frequency tokens. Mm-hmm.
Those were the little tokens, the pictures that you sent at the beginning exactly. Video. Wonderful. Okay, everybody will see it. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, they've guided me to specific symbols that carry certain frequencies that I have drawn onto these pieces of clay. And while I'm molding the clay, I'm actually channeling different energies from where symbols originate from. So that energy goes into the clay along with my own energy, and then they're activated with light language and sealed, and then they're kind of ready to be used. And they can be placed on the body, near the body, and then there's a light language that comes through also to activate them for each specific person, because we all have different energetic makeups, and so it requires different tweaking for some people, and it's really catered very specifically to each individual person.
That's beautiful. And I want to simplify something for the viewers regarding the light language. Language in and of itself is coded. And before we had words and phrases, as far as sentences, we used pictograms such as the hieroglyphs and some of the old cave paintings. And they were a much more natural, authentic language because it activates that part of your brain, your, what do we call it? The part of your brain that has access to the theta state. It passes the logical mind and goes into the imagination when you're looking at those pictures. And you have to express that when you are looking at it, you're reading it, it gives you a feeling in your body. It makes the language pretty much come alive. That's what the old language was. We considered intelligent language. Our English language no longer does that because we're speaking this sort of broken, dramatic slang sort of thing.
And I also, I randomly started speaking light language and I didn't understand what was happening.
Oh, wow, okay.
So I started researching it, and I wasn't getting the information that I needed. So they actually explained to me exactly how light language works, because I can also just record light language or speak it to somebody, and there are activations that come through those. And I think that a lot of people are doing these and maybe not fully understanding exactly how this is working or what they're really doing.
Okay. Well, let's help them.
I mean, I'm sure some people do, but this is definitely my perspective on how that works. So how they showed me is language and speaking produces tones and sounds. Mm-hmm. Every tone and sound has a frequency behind it. Mm-hmm. So light language has these specific tones and frequencies that basically paint sacred geometry patterns as you speak them. Mm-hmm. And they start to swirl around and fill up the light body. And so the light body starts to have these different frequencies and patterns. And each pattern carries a specific vibration that is able to shift us on dimensional levels, molecular levels. And so that begins to swirl in the light body. And then that is then interpreted by the astral body to pull into a lower dimension. And then it begins to affect each chakra level. So I think you guys have probably seen the layers of the aura, the way they paint them, where the blue and the purple and
yes, the different colors, yes.
So the light body, from what I understand, interacts with each layer depending on the frequency. So it may target a specific layer that could be connected to your root chakra. So it's then interpreted by that layer, and then from there, that layer can interpret it into your physical body. So then it begins to work on a molecular and DNA level to create shifts within yourself, and starts vibrating these molecules on different levels to release blockages and to activate parts of ourselves that we're not utilizing.
And that sounds very familiar with the new technology that's coming out, the low-level laser therapy that works with different colors. You know, it sounds basically the same to me, that as you just said, you have different layers in the aura which are represented by different colors. Your chakras are also represented by different colors. So when you sit under these light lamps, these low-level frequency lamps, it helps and affects your physical body, but it's going through all of those layers to get to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, very interesting. I hadn't heard of that before. That totally makes sense.
Yeah, I've been researching it a lot lately because it just seems so unbelievably cool to me.
That is so cool. Maybe I should do some more research.
Definitely. So what happens when you activate the light body for somebody?
So depending on their specific placement in their life path, it will vary for everybody. So it can vary from extreme to very subtle differences. Mm-hmm. For me, I've had some subtle ones that I hardly noticed. I've had some that were quite extreme and took some adjusting to. Mm-hmm. So basically, they can open you up to different gifts, different spiritual gifts via maybe clairvoyance, clairaudience, pretty much anything you can think of, really. They can help you to strengthen your actual impact, like your light body. It can, I guess you could say, like, strengthen it and give it like extra power, so you're more connected to source and you're able to maintain a higher vibrational state. Mm-hmm. There have also been ones where it would be specifically targeted for like the solar plexus. So this will help you gain confidence and remember your personal power. That can mean something different for everybody. For some people, it helps them to remember past lives. That is necessary for them to regain that knowledge that they experienced there, so that they can re-embody that within themselves and share that again with the world, because we don't live those lives for nothing. We need to remember them, so we can utilize those skills and completely use everything that we've already gone through, like it's for a reason. So there are third eye activations. Those ones can be quite intense. For me, what it feels like is like you can actually feel your body heating up from like the outside in, and then it starts like, then you can feel it like in your core, this heat rising out. And I actually think that my skin gets warmer to the touch for a couple of days, depending on which activation. And then you can kind of feel each molecule in your body vibrating more. And for me, I get extremely sensitive to electricity and other people and things like that. So sometimes I do have to take some time by myself.
I just have a question, because I have experiences like that as well. So when you start vibrating and it gets higher and more intense, do you get a little nauseated when that happens?
I used to. At one point I did actually purge because of it, but I really think that it was working on my solar plexus and I was releasing something. So I've noticed the more I release, the more comfortable it feels. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, early on, I got that. I was right at the beginning of my spiritual awakening, when things were starting to really happen. I was just like, oh my God, I'm so nauseated. Oh, look at that. It's 11:11 right now. How funny. So yeah, and I just want to tell other people, if you're going through that, then yeah, we get it. We absolutely get it. It's one of the symptoms.
Oh yeah, and there are so many symptoms that I've come to notice, and I'm just like, okay, all right, this is uncomfortable, but I know it's for a reason. So it helps me to understand, just breathe through it. It will pass. You're pulling in a higher vibration that is really helping you to shift, even on the collective conscious level. So it's like, it kind of helps me sometimes, because I really enjoy giving. knowing that I'm not receiving these things just for myself, knowing that I'm also helping other people by receiving these activations. So it really helps me to power through the tough times and know that I am making a difference, even just with my presence.
Yeah, and it's profound. It's not like, I think in the beginning, it's like, I can only speak to my own experience. The confusion came for me was like, what do you mean I have a purpose? Like, how am I supposed to help people? I'm just one itty bitty person. I don't understand. But then as you advance and you begin working with your purpose, you're like, okay, this really isn't work at all. I'm just having a few conversations with people, but it's healing other people. And as I'm healed in that whole process.
Exactly. Like, it's so rewarding on every level. So if you're having a tough time, keep powering through because you're making a difference. And
yeah, it's
just
worth
know that
it's definitely
yeah, it's totally worth it.
So when everything is activated and everything's full, the light body, for those who don't know, is also called the Merkaba. Do you want to talk about the Merkaba a little bit?
I actually am not too familiar with that. I understand what it is, but I don't have much knowledge on that.
Okay. Well, when your light body is activated, it is, of course, for a purpose like everything else. It allows you to tap in to your multidimensional selves and actually look through their eyes for information that you're seeking. And for some, it allows them astral travel to and from different dimensions and even here on the planet. I had one client who has fantastic astral traveling experiences. It's just every time he closes his eyes, he's gone. He is out of his body and he is just all over the place. And it's exciting. It's absolutely exciting because I've seen myself, different versions of myself. Like for one example, I went into a parallel reality where I was painting and I saw exactly where I lived. I saw my parents. My mom knew exactly who I was and exactly what I was doing. And she was like, do you want to see her? You're here because you want to see her, right? I'm like, yeah, of course. Is this like weird for you? It's like, no, we totally get it. And I was there what felt like hours and hours just getting the most fantastic painting lesson I've ever had in my life. It was divine. It was wonderful. And that's your gift for you guys who are just getting into this. It's fantastic. Use it, play with it, absorb it. Just turn the lights on, man. I mean, you got a lot to see.
Absolutely. Yeah, actually the interdimensional travel is probably my favorite part. I feel more comfortable out there.
Yeah, because there's no inhibitions whatsoever. Everything is just like, I'm free. It's absolute freedom from that perspective. Where have you gone? What do you remember?
So when I first started waking up, I learned that I was a starseed.
Mm-hmm.
So for those who don't know, it's basically remembering your soul origin from a different planet or different star system.
Mm-hmm. And where did you originate from?
The first I learned was Sirius, and then Pleiadian and Avian kind of came in after that.
Awesome.
So the first place I went, because I was just still so homesick, I just really wanted to go home. So the first place I went was back to Sirius, and it was just beautiful there. I was in the water and I felt more comfortable in the water, and the skies were all pastel colored and the clouds were different, and there wasn't particularly, I don't remember seeing like any type of sun, but the sky was like illuminated in a light way. And
it was, yeah. I saw it the same way too.
It's just beautiful, and it just felt so much more peaceful there, and it was just so serene. It's almost leaving me speechless just thinking about it.
And it is a feeling of being homesick and that feeling of curiosity, because when I went and I could see, oh my gosh, this is where I can't even say came from at this point of my journey, because I understand that it's an experience that's actually still happening. If you were to look at it from a human experience, I actually traveled in the past. This is the past for me. you know? But for those who are interested, something really curious about Earth is that the dolphins are transplants from Sirius. This is a wonderful opportunity when you can commune with the dolphins to have an extraterrestrial experience, and it's very, very real.
Yeah, along the lines of us understanding that it's the past, I have begun to understand that it is still happening now. And that's why you can shift into things that are still happening and continue to move forward with the timeline, because there is no past. We think of that in a horizontal way, like here,
yeah,
earlier, but it's actually going this way. And so we're all moving together forwardly. So it's like our soul's experiencing so many different things in so many different realms and so many different spaces. And past life memories are actually like shifting your perception into these other embodiments and pulling information and experiences from there into the here and now.
Yeah. I mean, there was a time I used to believe in past life regression, and it's just not applicable anymore. I don't know to tell you, I just don't believe that anymore. It's just not the same. So
totally.
Tell me more about your experience on Sirius. Did you sense that you had a body at that time?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Did you sense that you had a body in your existence on Sirius?
I did, yes. I sensed that I was more of a water being. Like I was living in the water. My body just didn't feel the same. It felt much lighter, so I wasn't as aware of it. It just felt different, but I was aware that I was inhabiting a self, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I describe it as a whale, but not a whale. Something very large, but definitely not the same as an earth whale.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And I know for me, when I had that vision open up about Sirius, I saw myself in the water, feeling the call from Earth, and then thinking, what an opportunity to learn something about a whole other race, and also learn to pick up new information from books. That was a whole new wonderful concept. Because, you know, of course, you're telepathic. There's no books in the water.
Right. Yeah, for me, I remember the call being more like I sensed distress and knew that I had something to offer. So I was like, all right, I know this is going to be hard, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw the gains in it. I really did. I thought, yeah, reading's going to be awesome. A new way to learn. I was like, how difficult it must be for everyone to just not know things. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Have to start from scratch, all confused.
Oh yeah, yeah. But that's why we're here. You know, we come to this wonderful forgetting place, and then we begin to remember who we are, as well as who all the other people are that are surrounding us. And it's absolutely, it's funny, it is profound, it is really cool, and it's a great big surprise.
Absolutely.
So what else? ¿Qué más?
Well, let's see here. So another thing that I've come to realize is it's really helped me to understand how we are all one. So by doing something for yourself, you're doing something for everybody. So I'm not exactly sure about labeling dimensions and things. I have a hard time with that because it just doesn't seem to apply there. But I've come to understand more about how the collective consciousness works. And so I see source as like the beginning point, like a sphere. And you can see that as like a white light for me. And you see like a web emitting from this. And this web is like, I guess you could say like fractals. So it starts and kind of just webs in every direction in infinity and is repetitive. But in each of these little intersections, there's like these little pods, like these little light circles. So from my understanding, that's us. That's our different expressions of source energy. So we're placed out in this huge expansive way and all experiencing different parts of this. And the further away you get from source, the lower the dimension. So we're we're still able to be connected to source. It just feels denser because we're further away. When I was falling asleep, I was still awake, so I was able to type in my phone what I was experiencing, because I often don't remember 5 minutes afterwards.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
I was actually able to shift my perception into each one of these pods and experience somebody else's life, experience their expression, experience the feelings that they're experiencing in that time and space, and see it from their perspective. And you could just like hop from each one of these, because you can travel through these light lines. It's just so profound. I was just mind blown.
A real super highway, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it was just amazing. Like, I want to do that all the time.
Yeah,
and it
my
really
guys
helped
explained it to me too. I was just absolutely mind blown. Like, it's just simple. It's simplicity, you know. Your brothers and sisters are all just reflecting off of each other. So be nice to each other. That's it.
Exactly. Like, we're all expressions of the same thing. Nobody's better than the other one. We're all the same, just experiencing things and feeling things differently because of our specific path and what we've chosen for ourselves.
Yeah. Oh, isn't that so cool? Wow. I'm just so, I love where this takes you. And I do. I feel for people when you're at the beginning of the awakening stage, because I know that it can be confusing and I know that it can be lonely, but just power through it. It's all happening for a very, very good reason. You're just going to drop a bunch of stuff you thought belonged to you. You know, things that you picked up when you were growing up. This mismanagement of information is going to die, and you're going to feel like you're going to die too for a little bit, but you know, you're going to come back to life as more spirit than physical, and it's pretty cool. It's worth living through.
I totally agree. I feel like there's definitely a death of part of yourself, a transformation, and that's not easy, and I don't think that will ever end. I think that's just part of the process.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I feel like, oh, I feel so happy now. This must be it. This must be the end. Oh, good, and then, oh no, there's just layers and they keep coming. There's always going to be more work. So when you find those content spaces in between, remember how grateful and how happy you are, and remember how empowered you feel, and remember how worth it is, because sometimes it's hard to see when you're in the muck of clearing this density and just feeling so stuck again. You're like, I thought I did the work. Maybe I've regressed. No, you haven't regressed. This is another opportunity to progress even further. Yeah. So I've learned to be grateful for every struggle, every different misconception that I've had because of this new perception that I have. Mm-hmm. It's all just such a gift, and sometimes it's hard to see when it feels so painful, and like you don't have anybody to relate with, and like maybe you don't have someone who understands you. Like, I know that it's hard, but it's totally worth it. And by you embracing this, you'll start attracting your tribe, because you're embracing your truth and emitting your frequency that will attract exactly what you need. So
yeah, and you're helping to build that foundation of frequency, because all the things that you thought were real are going to go to the bye-bye. They're going to go up in smoke. And then, yeah, you're lonely, but you need to be, because you're building that foundation. And you're figuring out who you really are. It's like you get an opportunity to meet yourself on a different level.
Exactly. So just tough it out.
Yeah, it's very, very profound. Well, Erin, do you have any last words for young women out there, or young men, young intuitives? Any other words of encouragement before we sign off today?
I guess I would say trust yourself and your intuition. Your higher self is giving you guidance. Don't question yourself. Embrace that. Follow your truth. Trusting yourself is probably one of the most important things, because if you don't trust yourself, you can't really trust anything else.
Exactly. Yes. And I would say be kind to yourself. Say kind things. It doesn't matter if you don't feel like your life is perfect, but it actually is in divine order. So let it be and just embrace it. All right, everybody. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Erin, thank you so very, very much for coming forth and to share your story. It was powerful. I love speaking with you. I think everybody's going to truly benefit from the information that you've given us here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. It was my pleasure.
Bye, everybody.